What is up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Grant from One Fair Review, and today we're going to be looking at another movie. Today we're looking at It, based on Stephen King's very popular novel, It, of the same name. So pretty much what the story in the movie at least, takes place in the first half of It, the actual book, where they're actually kids and they are living in Derry, Maine. So pretty much what happens is that they start to realize that they are all seeing this clown, and there's these weird things happening in Derry, and that Derry is this horrible place where the death rate is worse than anywhere else in the country, especially for kids. So while investigating, they all realize that they've seen a clown, and they want to know where he comes from, what he's doing, and at the same time, Billy, pretty much the main character, is also trying to look for his brother who went missing a year before. So it's a whole kind of, hey, let's search for this clown, and then the clown starts scaring them, and of course he wants to kill them. And then they find out that the clown has been there for hundreds of years, apparently resurfacing every 27 years to feed on kids and kill adults. It's shit like that. So that's pretty much the general plot, or the general sort of story that's going on with It. And when I first saw the trailer for this movie, I honestly wasn't impressed. I thought, hey, this movie looks like it's going to be garbage. Like, I don't think that this movie's going to be good whatsoever. And I just didn't have faith in it. I was being unreasonable in a way, and I was just like, this is going to be a typical modern horror movie. It's going to have a bunch of jump scares. I'm not going to give a shit about the characters. Fuck it, whatever. I'll still go watch it, but I didn't have any hopes for it. But watching it yesterday, this was a Thursday showing, it was fantastic. I was blown away at how good the movie It was, and not just as a horror movie, but as a movie in general. It was good, and I think that this is one of the best movies I've seen all year, because it was absolutely phenomenal. I was blown away with it, and I was glued to my seat the entire time while I was watching it. Not once was I bored. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the amazing production value, the expert cinematography, the camera work, the music, the sound design, the editing, the acting, costumes. Everything was well done with this movie, and I was just so shocked. I was honestly amazed at how good they were able to get this down. From the first scene of the movie, I was immediately almost convinced that this movie was going to be worth my time. Because the first time you see Pennywise the clown, it's just like, it's so unnatural. And the actor they got for him was incredible. They got the best actor to play him, in my opinion, because the entire movie, he's creepy. The entire movie, he's unnatural. And even at points, he's actually kind of funny in a way. Like, he's kind of like entertaining to watch because he's a little bit funny, mocking the kids and everything. Like, it was actually kind of incredible to see him. And yeah, this is way better than Tim Curry from the TV movie series of It. Like, way better. Like, I felt like this was way more powerful. And that really does mean a lot, because I don't necessarily like the movie It. I never regarded it as a classic at all. In fact, I did not like the movie. But hey, like, I didn't have any hopes for this, and it actually gave me more and more of what I expected and honestly wanted. I always hoped that they would adapt a Stephen King book as good as they could in this movie, and it was absolutely incredible. One thing that I was talking about to some people is that I feel like horror nowadays has really been like taken differently than how it was back then. I'm not a fan of newer horror movies. Like, I always have to explain myself when I say, I'm a horror movie fan, and people think like, like, he's into like Paranormal Activity, he's into Saw. It's like, no, I'm not into that. I'm more into the classic horror movies, the movies where it's like you have great protagonists, great antagonists, an interesting story, and like you desperately are glued to your seat. There's tension because you want to see the protagonist succeed. You don't want to see them go through all this torment. You're just like, holy shit, like, what's gonna happen? When's it gonna end? Like, I hope nothing bad happens. And it was never really about the cheap scares, because that's what it is nowadays. It's mostly just jump scares, cheap scares, and all that. which admittedly sometimes get me, but not in the way that you might think. They don't scare me. It's just kind of a wake-up call. Like you're just watching a movie and then out of nowhere it's like, surprise! And you're like, oh shit, okay. I'm awake now. Like that's always how I see jump scares. But this movie, it doesn't have it. Not really. It has more creepy, unnatural moments than actual jump scares, and it really does work because it does make you feel creeped out. You're like, oh shit, what the hell's going on? Like, oh, this is really weird. Like, oh gosh, oh god, what's gonna happen? Like, there's tension there. There's a lot of tension between the characters and like the clown himself. And like I said, the movie has phenomenal acting. This is the best child acting I've ever seen in my life. And it's so funny coming out of, because I came back from a trip recently. And on that trip, I watched 2 movies in particular. I watched A Cure for Wellness, and I watched fucking Valerian when it came out in theaters. And for fuck's sake, that they had some awful acting. Awful. In fact, Valerian's one of the worst acting. Like, it's some of the worst acting I've seen in movies ever. Like, it was terrible. And to see these little kids in it do not only much better, but actually convince me that they're afraid, convince me that they're little kids. It's like, it's amazing. And like, I know what you guys might be thinking, like, oh, convince you they're little kids. They are little kids, you idiot. It's like, yeah, I know. But you guys kind of get what I mean. Like, they convinced me that these were real characters. These were real people or kids that actually exist, because even the way they're written, because the dialogue is amazing in this movie. The dialogue is incredible because the kids act like kids, like real kids, and you could relate to them. And like, it's funny because there's actually even, the movie's even funny at points because of what the kids say to each other. They don't say jokes like in Marvel or even DC at times, or even movies in general. They don't say jokes that is just like, oh, reference or this, that. No, this is vulgar ass shit humor. And not vulgar as Adam Sandler, but vulgar as in like you're talking to your best friend and nobody's around, kind of vulgar. And it's honestly really funny because I look at myself and I think back to when I was a kid, and even fucking now, like, and even my brother and like, you know, like my sister and like people I know, like friends that I know. It's like I look at them and we talk, and it's like we say the most vulgar shit and terrible stuff to each other. So it's like I look at these kids and I'm just like, holy shit, that's exactly what I would do when I was younger. Like, one joke that floored me completely was Richie and Eddie, 2 kids in the movie. Eddie's looking for stuff in his filing cabinet, and then Richie's just like, hey Eddie, are those your birth control pills? And then Eddie looks at Richie, he's like, yeah, I'm saving them for your sister. And I was just like, and everybody started laughing. And that's not the only part. There's many moments in the movie where it's just kind of natural humor that makes you laugh because it's very realistic. It's just funny. So I really enjoyed it off of that aspect. And their personalities were all very distinct, very different, and all very natural, to the point where I was like, yeah, I really was convinced at their acting. And that's one of my favorite parts of the movie. Just the acting of the kids alone was amazing. And of course, the acting they got for the guy who played Pennywise also was incredible. The story itself also I thought was really good. Obviously, it's Stephen King. He did a great job writing the book. Obviously, there are changes, some big changes, but hey, you gotta adapt into a movie. And Stephen King himself said that this is one of the best movies he's seen. He says like, oh, I was very surprised. I could not have dreamed of a better adaptation. So that does say something. And you know, like, I really enjoyed the story of the movie. It was very interesting. Like I said, it kept me glued to my seat. Obviously, I already knew what the ending was going to be. I already knew what was going to happen. So, like, at times it was kind of hard. I was like, well, I know everything that happens, but there was still tension there because the movie was well done. So yeah, that's kind of the stuff that I think was really good about the movie. But, like, sort of on the flip side of things, what were my problems with the movie? Now that you've already heard me praise the shit out of this, what were my problems? I had a few, but yeah, honestly, these are nitpicks, and I could probably nitpick a little bit more, but these are the ones that I saw personally. When it came to the kids, 4 characters I thought had great development, and that was Billy, Richie, Eddie, and Beverly. I thought all four of those kids had great development. They were in the movie probably the most. But there were three other kids in the movie, which was Ben, Stan, and Mike, that I felt didn't get as much development or didn't get as much screen time or motivation as I would have hoped. All three of these characters actually had a good amount of screen time in the beginning of the movie, but there are portions where they kind of just disappear, and I don't know why, but it just feels like they're just gone, and then they show up, and you're like, oh, hey, look, there they are. Especially Mike. Mike has like some good development at times, but then later on he disappears, and then he shows up randomly. You're like, oh, there's Mike, and you're just like, oh shit, okay. I guess he's part of the group now, and it's just like, I don't know. I felt like there needed to be a little bit more motivation with Mike, Stan, and Ben, because all of them, they were kind of iffy in my opinion. Great actors, I will say that, but like at times I was just kind of questioning, like, why are they here? Why would they want to be here? But you know, that's just me. You know, I felt like they needed a little bit more time. Other than that, problems with the movie. This may not even be a problem with the movie. This may just be a personal issue, or not a personal issue, but kind of a movie going theater experience issue. Is that I felt like the movie was really loud, like really loud, unnaturally loud, even to the point where by the end of the movie I had a headache. And I could deal with a lot, and I've watched a ton of movies in theaters, and I've never gotten headaches necessarily, except one other time. And yeah, at times the movie was really loud, and by the end of it, I was just like, oh, I'm getting kind of a headache. This is kind of getting annoying. And yeah, it was kind of a problem. But the reason why I say it might not be a problem is that years ago when Man of Steel came out in theaters, same thing happened to me. I went to the movies. It was the loudest fucking movie I've ever seen in my life. I was like, holy shit, it's so loud. I have a headache. I hate this. What the hell happened? And then when I watched it at my house when it came out in DVD, the movie wasn't that loud at all. So this might just be a theater going experience. So I won't use this to sort of impact the score, but I'm just kind of putting it out there as a possibility. Excuse me. I just had a horrible thing happen. But so to sort of summarize, I enjoyed the movie It. I was surprised. I loved it. It honestly was one of the best movies I've seen all year, and one of the biggest surprises I've seen all year. So as a final verdict, I would give it a 9 out of 10. This was a very solid movie. I had a few gripes with it, and I know it's not perfect, but my God, was this movie just incredible to watch. It was really enjoyable, not just as a horror movie, but as a movie in general. A really good throwback to the 80s as well. Some great acting, good cinematography, some of the best cinematography I've seen all year. It was just great. And I recommend this to any horror movie fans, any Stephen King fans, any movie-going fans to go watch this movie. This movie was incredible. Anyways, this was Grant for One Fair Review. Let me know what you thought of the movie if you guys have seen it. Just comment down below. Let me know. And as always, have a nice day.